Previously, Jin-Woo successfully defeats Demon King Baron, gaining powerful rewards and unlocking the Demon Monarch's full potential. He uses the purified blood of the Demon King to create the holy water of life, hoping it will cure his mother. After defeating Baron, Jin-Woo returns to the hospital, carrying the holy water of life and believing it could heal his mother. With trembling hands, he gently gives her the potion, a flicker of hope igniting within him. Moments later, a miracle happens. His mother's eyes open and she greets him with a warm smile. Jin-Woo is momentarily stunned and can't hold back his emotions as tears begin to fall. Jin-Woo stands in awe, witnessing this precious moment. All his efforts had finally paid off. This was the greatest gift he could ever receive. Yet, a pang of unease settles in. Since becoming a hunter, he had distanced himself from those he loved, and now loneliness begins to creep into his heart. Taking a break in the park, Jin-Woo glanced at his phone, flooded with missed calls. A news report about a dragon flying over Korea caught his eye, and he quickly realized it had to be him and Kai-sel. Just then, a call came in from Mr. Go, who sounded anxious. Mr. Go offered to come see him right away, but Jin-Woo declined and saying he'd head to the association office soon. After Jin-Woo arrived at the Hunter Association office, Mr. Go immediately informed him that in 4 days, the association's hunters would be launching a raid on Jeju Island to wipe out the ant monsters. They needed his help for the operation and asked if he was willing to join. Jin-Woo hesitated, even though he would normally accept right away, especially given that the island was crawling with high-level monsters. His thoughts drifted to his family, and he didn't want to make them worry. Before Jin-Woo could respond, he suddenly sensed a powerful magical energy around him. Noticing Jin-Woo's reaction, Mr. Go laughed and praised him, saying that Jin-Woo's senses were indeed sharp, able to detect energy from a distance. Mr. Go then explained that the energy came from the Korean and Japanese Rank S hunters, who were doing practice matches in the gym as preparation for the Jeju Island raid. He added that Goto Ruji, Japan's top Rank S hunter, was also there. Hearing Goto Ruji's name only heightened Jin-Woo's curiosity. In the Korean Hunter Association's gym, Baek Yun-ho was locked in an intense match against Ma Dong-wook, the Guild Master of Fame Guild, one of Korea's top 5 guilds. Their clash was so fierce that its impact could be felt throughout the arena. When Jin-Woo and Mr. Go arrived, Mr. Go explained that the magical energy Jin-Woo had sensed earlier was coming from their battle. Jin-Woo noticed that Baek Yun-ho seemed to be at a disadvantage. Watching nearby, Choi Jong-in commented that if Baek Yun-ho were fighting seriously, Ma Dong-wook wouldn't stand a chance. In his view, Yun-ho often struggled to control his strength around others, sometimes even losing track of friend from foe. Soon after, 10 Rank S hunters from Japan entered the gym. Ippei Izawa, Mari Ishida, Ken Tanaka, Minoru Hoshino, Atsushi Kumamoto, Kanoe Tawada, Tatsumi Fujishima, Kei, Akari Shimizu, and their leader, Goto Ruji. Jin-Woo observed their arrival from a distance, focusing on Ruji, rumored to be Japan's top Rank S hunter. Meanwhile, Akari curiously, she asked who the man standing in the distance was. Hanekawa explained that it was Sung Jin-Woo, the newly promoted Rank S hunter. Ruji, also observing Jin-Woo, sensed something extraordinary hidden within him. Despite Jin-Woo concealing his strength, his powerful magical aura was unmistakable to Ruji, who considered him an exceptional assassin-type hunter. However, Hanekawa clarified that Jin-Woo was officially classified as a mage-type hunter, surprising Ruji. It wasn't only the Japanese hunters who were intrigued by Jin-Woo. The Korean hunters also took notice. Lim Taegyu recognized him as the hunter who had disrupted Lee Min-sung's debut and realized it was his first time seeing Jin-Woo in person. Hunter Cha sensed the shift in atmosphere as soon as she noticed Jin-Woo's presence. Kei, with a keen sense of smell like Hunter Cha, found the surrounding hunters' scent nauseating. Meanwhile, Baek Yun-ho and Ma Dong-wook continued their sparring session. Hanekawa, watching the duel, felt that South Korea's top hunters were no match for Japan's. However, Ruji saw value in a few Korean hunters, particularly Hunter Cha and Mr. Go, whom he considered on par with Japan's best. Hanekawa's dismissive comment caught the attention of Park Jong-soo, the Guild Master of the Knights Guild, one of South Korea's most influential guilds with the highest number of Rank A hunters. Jong-soo called her out, remarking that her statement was inappropriate since, as just a translator, Hanekawa couldn't fully understand the situation. Feeling insulted, Hanekawa calmly challenged Jong-soo to prove his skills in a duel. Jong-soo accepted, with the rule that whoever grabbed the other's arm first would be the winner. There was no need for a brutal fight, as that would be detrimental for the upcoming Jeju Island raid. Hanekawa agreed, and they both prepared for the match. Hanekawa launched the first strike, darting forward with a barrage of swift attacks. But Jong-soo, with his quick reflexes, dodged each blow effortlessly. Hanekawa pushed harder, intensifying her attacks, but suddenly her arm was knocked back. Jong-soo casually remarked that it wasn't an attack, just a small, meaningless push. Hanekawa shot back with a smirk, taunting him for striking a silly pose despite his torn pants. Spotting an opening, she charged in again. However, Jong-soo swiftly seized the opportunity and grabbed her arm, ending the duel with a win. He commented that fighting humans was trickier due to their unpredictable moves, unlike battling monsters. Ryuji was impressed by their duel. He asked Hanekawa to share his proposal with everyone. He then suggested they have another sparring session between Rank S hunters, following the same rules as before. Mr. Go agreed but noted that non-combatants and mage hunters couldn't participate since assessing their skills would be challenging. Yunho suggested a rule change. He proposed that anyone who could touch their opponent's back or knock them out would be declared the winner, and also suggested making it a team match. Hanekawa relayed this to Ryuji, who immediately grasped the advantage of knocking opponents out and realized the rule would favor assassin-type hunters. He agreed to the new setup. With everything settled, they prepared to start the practice match. Team Korea consisted of hunters Baek Yunho, Ma Dongwook, Hunter Cha, and Lim Taegyu, while Team Japan included hunters Ken Tanaka, Minoru Hoshino, Atsushi Kumamoto, and Kanoe Tawada. From a distance, Jin-Woo observed, noting that Goto Ryuji was sitting out, likely to assess the Korean hunter's capabilities. He felt lucky to witness such a rare match between Rank S hunters. As the two teams squared off, Ma Dongwook activated his skill and signaled the start. Tanaka couldn't help but admire Ma Dongwook's strength, marveling at how he could grow to a giant size. Eager for a power battle, Tanaka charged forward, exchanging blows with Ma Dongwook. Their fists clashed, sending a powerful shockwave across the arena. At the same time, Hoshino dashed toward Lim Taegyu, who quickly kept his distance and summoned several magic arrows, launching them at Hoshino. Although Hoshino dodged the attacks, he was visibly struggling. Mr. Go watched and noted that, even though the building was reinforced with the strongest magic stones, these hunters were managing to shake the room within seconds. Meanwhile, Yunho transformed and prepared to engage Kumamoto. Kumamoto found the match rules absurd and decided to fight with more aggression. He attacked Yunho from behind but quickly pulled back, feeling uneasy and doubting his compatibility as a hunter. Yunho sensed Kumamoto's killing intent in the previous move, yet was puzzled by his retreat. Determined to get serious, Yunho's hands turned white, his gaze sharpened, and he lunged with his claws. Kumamoto barely evaded. Jong-soo, watching, was in disbelief, realizing his earlier duel seemed like child's play compared to the intensity now unfolding. Suddenly, a huge explosion echoed across the arena as Ma Dongwook was defeated by Tanaka. Tanaka declared himself the victor in this test of strength. At the same moment, Taegyu was thrown against the wall with great force, and Hoshino, satisfied, claimed his victory as well. Baek Yunho sighed, watching as Ma Dongwook and Lim Taegyu were defeated. Now he was left to face 3 opponents on his own. He realized that the Japanese hunters found it easier to target him first rather than dealing with Hunter Cha. Meanwhile, Tawada felt cornered and disoriented by Hunter Cha's fast and unpredictable attacks. Known as the Dancer, Hunter Cha used her agility to overwhelm her opponents quickly. She struck Tawada from all sides with swift, precise movements. When Tawada tried to counter, Hunter Cha's rapid attack knocked her hat off. In a flash, she moved behind Tawada and tapped her back, securing victory. After defeating Tawada, Hunter Cha hurried to help Baek Yunho, who was surrounded by the Japanese hunters. Suddenly, Kumamoto came up from behind, ready to strike. But with lightning-fast reflexes, Hunter Cha landed a series of blows directly to his face. Shimizu and Fujishima, watching from the sidelines, were stunned to see Hunter Cha deliver 14 punches in one go. Realizing she might have gone overboard, Hunter Cha began to panic. Kumamoto, now injured, looked furious. The Japanese hunters grew tense, knowing that when Kumamoto lost control, he could become dangerously unpredictable. Ryuji felt the same concern. If they didn't stop Kumamoto soon, the Korean team could suffer serious injuries. Enraged, Kumamoto launched a brutal attack on Hunter Cha, his strikes hitting the ground hard enough to crack it. She managed to dodge, but this time she was cornered. Kumamoto threw a powerful final blow, shaking the entire area. However, Jin-Woo suddenly stepped in to protect Hunter Cha, blocking Kumamoto's powerful kicks with ease. This infuriated Kumamoto, who tried to attack again, but Jin-Woo swiftly locked him down and slammed him to the ground. Ryuji was surprised to see Jin-Woo's movements. This didn't seem like the skill of a mage-type hunter. He felt like he had to find out more. Meanwhile, the training match concluded, with the Japanese team emerging victorious. In his mind, Yunho felt disappointed because the difference in skill between them was so great, even though he had given his all. Soon after, Hanekawa approached Jin-Woo to deliver a message from Ryuji. Ryuji stepped forward and challenged Jin-Woo to a one-on-one match. From Ryuji's aura, Jin-Woo sensed he wanted to test his abilities. Jin-Woo smiled in response, which only made Ryuji angrier, as if he were being mocked. Although Jin-Woo wasn't fully confident in his current abilities, he felt this was a great opportunity to test his strength. Hanekawa relayed Jin-Woo's condition that he would only fight if Ryuji used all his strength. Hearing this, Ryuji became even more irritated but found the situation interesting. He ordered Shimizu to prepare to heal anyone who got hurt, especially Jin-Woo. Taegyu, watching from a distance, felt the rising tension. Ma Dongwook admired Jin-Woo's bravery as the 10th-ranked S-hunter, challenging Ryuji, the #1 hunter in Japan. Hunter Cha shared similar feelings but remained worried about the situation. Baek Yunho realized he should stop the fight, but his curiosity about the outcome kept him silent. He thought if Jin-Woo was truly a hunter growing stronger over time, his current power was likely much greater than before. When Jin-Woo called for the sparring to start, Ryuji suddenly launched an attack without warning at incredible speed. However, Jin-Woo managed to dodge with amazing reflexes. Frustrated by the missed attack, Ryuji increased his speed and power, but Jin-Woo easily evaded his strikes while smiling, which only fueled Ryuji's anger. Izawa watched the event anxiously, feeling that the match should be stopped. Tanaka, standing next to him, noticed something and commented that Go-To Ryuji seemed to want to fight more seriously. Taegyu observed Ryuji's attack speed, struggling to keep up with his lightning-fast movements, acknowledging how terrifying those strikes were. Meanwhile, Ma Dongwook was impressed, realizing it was rare for anyone to dodge an attack from one of Japan's best hunters. He concluded that Sung Jin-Woo was indeed impressive. However, Hunter Cha had a different opinion, believing Jin-Woo was far more than just impressive. Even under a barrage of attacks, Jin-Woo continued to provoke Ryuji to strike even more. The match continued, with Ryuji launching a flurry of attacks at incredible speed. Still, Jin-Woo managed to evade every strike, which only added to Ryuji's frustration. Ryuji began to worry that if he didn't take this seriously, he might actually lose to Jin-Woo. Finally, he decided to ramp up his attacks with deadly intent. As Jin-Woo felt a scratch on his cheek, the system warned him of a strong killing intent nearby. With deadly intent, Ryuji unleashed a lethal attack. However, in a surprising moment, Jin-Woo managed to block the attack by gripping Ryuji's arm. Jin-Woo realized that if he had been a moment slower, he might have lost his right eye. Ryuji was shocked by Jin-Woo's incredible strength, wondering why Jin-Woo only held his arm. Ryuji was furious, thinking Jin-Woo was toying with him. But Jin-Woo calmly explained that the match had ended the moment he grabbed Ryuji's arm. Even so, he knew Ryuji wouldn't give up easily. Both amplified their power, preparing to unleash their ultimate attacks. However, before they could clash, Baek Yunho and Hunter Cha quickly intervened to stop Jin-Woo's movement, while Hoshino blocked Ryuji from the opposite direction. Kei then conjured a magical wall to separate them. Yunho, in a serious tone, asked Hanekawa to end the sparring session for today, and Hanekawa agreed without hesitation. After the match, Yunho apologized to Jin-Woo for getting involved, but Jin-Woo assured him it was fine. Ma Dong-wook then approached Jin-Woo, expressing his admiration and admitting that Jin-Woo had managed to match Goto Ruji. He offered Jin-Woo a place in his guild, which needed a strong fighter like him. But from a distance, Choi Jong-in shouted that Jin-Woo was actually a hunter mage, surprising Ma Dong-wook. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo thought he might have gone a little overboard. Still, he felt satisfied because he now understood the strengths of all the hunters present. More importantly, Jin-Woo had placed his shadow soldiers with each hunter to keep an eye on them from the shadows. Before leaving the gym, Jin-Woo informed Mr. Go about the raid on Jeju Island, news that left Mr. Go stunned. At the same time, Hanekawa noticed Goto Ruji's face, drenched in sweat and showing a rare expression of fear. That night, Yunho pondered Jin-Woo's growing strength over time. He wondered how much money it would take to recruit him, though he knew it was impossible. Still, Yunho was determined to maintain a good relationship with Jin-Woo. Soon his phone rang, informing him that the list of raid participants on Jeju Island had been announced. Yunho was shocked to see that Jin-Woo's name was not on the list. In a hotel, Goto Ruji was calling Reiji Sugimoto, vice president of the Draw Sword Guild. Ruji asked Sugimoto if he knew of any great hunters in South Korea. Sugimoto was puzzled by the question, stating that no matter how good someone was, they would still be below Ruji's level. Sugimoto asked for the hunter's name, and Ruji mentioned Sung Jin-Woo, who recently became an S-rank hunter. However, Sugimoto informed him that Jin-Woo's name was not on the Jeju Island raid participant list. Ruji was stunned to hear this, unable to believe that Mr. Go would form a raid team without a talented hunter like Jin-Woo. After hanging up, Ruji recalled the terrifying feeling he experienced when facing Jin-Woo. He wondered if that feeling was death, and realized he might have weakened. The scene then shifts to Jeju Island, in the ant nest. The ant queen realized they needed to leave the island as there was no food left. The ant children had even started eating each other. The queen stressed that they needed strong soldiers to lead their kingdom. A giant egg was visible among the others, and the ant queen hoped it would hatch into the strongest king to lead their colony. Soon the egg reacted, and sharp claws emerged from within, breaking the shell. A frightening monster appeared, emitting an incredibly terrifying aura. The scene then moves to Jin-Woo's apartment, on the day his mother was discharged from the hospital. Upon entering the apartment, Jin-Woo was surprised to see how dirty and messy it was. He felt confused and asked Jina about what happened while he was gone. With a smile on her face, his mother explained that she hadn't cleaned the house for 4 years and asked if they wanted to help. They then started cleaning the house together. For a moment, Jin-Woo smiled, happily seeing his family's current condition. Soon after, his mother asked about Jin-Woo's father's whereabouts, wondering if he had ever returned while she was in the hospital. Jin-Woo paused for a moment. He also understood why his mother didn't want to leave this apartment. She still hoped his father would return here. Jin-Woo reflected that his mother needed him more than the raid on Jeju Island. After the Jeju Island raid plan was announced, the news spread quickly. Several TV stations began airing everything related to Jeju Island, especially about the ant monsters. The ant colony had evolved rapidly. In the first and second stages of evolution, the ants still crawled and behaved like normal ants, but their body size was huge. In the third stage of evolution, they began to change shape. At this stage, they could walk like humans, use 4 legs as hands, and move nimbly. Recent investigations revealed the next evolution. The ants that had caused damage in Japan now looked even more human-like, with wings on their backs. This might be the last chance for the joint Korean and Japanese raid team to defeat the ant colony, with the future of Jeju Island and South Korea at stake. The list of raid members also spread widely, and the public learned that hunter Sung Jin-Woo was not participating. This led Korean netizens to harshly criticize him. Many felt ashamed of Jin-Woo's presence in their country. While walking in the city, Jin-Woo saw these harsh comments and worried about their impact on Jina. Soon after, a call from Jinho informed him that he had found a place for their guild office. Upon arrival, Jin-Ho showed their spacious guild office and mentioned they needed 3 people to establish a guild. Jin-Woo suggested they recruit 1 more person, while Jin-Ho pondered who would be suitable. Then, Jin-Ho gave Jin-Woo a business card of someone looking for him, an English speaker who would be in Korea for a few days, hoping to meet Jin-Woo. Jin-Woo suddenly sensed a killing intent. He quickly informed Jin-Ho that he needed to head back home, while also activating his shadow exchange skill. Jin-Ho was taken aback to see Jin-Woo vanish and be replaced by his shadow warrior. Jin-Woo now stood in an alley in a residential area. He saw a criminal threatening a woman with a knife. From behind, Jin-Woo interrupted, questioning the criminal's actions. The criminal looked at Jin-Woo and cursed, suddenly attacking with his knife, but it couldn't pierce Jin-Woo's skin. The criminal was shocked, and suddenly the knife was in Jin-Woo's hand. Jin-Woo slashed the criminal's leg, wounding him. Jin-Woo then told the criminal to change his ways and gave him until midnight to turn himself in. He also put one of his shadow warriors on the criminal to keep an eye on him. As Jin-Woo walked away, he thought about the Jeju Island raid that would take place tomorrow. The next day, the large-scale raid on Jeju Island began. Helicopters and dozens of warships had been deployed, cutting through the ocean toward Jeju. On board those ships, the best hunters prepared to hold the front line. As the guild master of the Guild Knights, Park Jong-soo rallied his members, encouraging them to brace themselves mentally. Meanwhile, as the guild master of the guild Fame, Ma Dong-wook entrusted command of the rear to his deputy. The deputy was determined to do her best and hoped Dong-wook would return safely. At the same time, Hunter Lim Taegyu, guild master of the Guild Reapers, was calling his deputy to check on Lee Min-sung's position. When he learned Lee Min-sung was at the front line, Taegyu grew worried. He reminded his deputy just how valuable Lee Min-sung was and insisted he be moved to the rear or hidden. However, the idiot Lee Min-sung tried to take advantage of this situation to increase his prestige in front of the reporters. Hunters from both the Guild Hunters and Guild White Tiger were also preparing to hold the front lines. Even retired hunters had joined the fight. The S-rank hunters were now in the helicopter heading to Jeju Island. A cameraman introduced himself as a member of the official Hunters Reporting Center and informed them that the raid would be broadcast live on TV. Yun-ho, shaking his hand, was puzzled as to why a cameraman was in such a dangerous place. Ma Dong-wook revealed that this would be the first time the public would be able to watch an S-rank raid, especially after the 3rd failure. They needed to make sure this mission succeeded to get revenge on the ants on Jeju Island. Yun-ho privately thought that if this raid failed, it would be the end for South Korea. Meanwhile, Yun-ho was surprised by Byung-yu's decision to join the raid. With a joking tone, Byung-yu said he knew Yun-ho would take high risks and needed to be healed. Everyone laughed at his comment, lightening the tense atmosphere. Meanwhile, the helicopter was nearing Jeju Island, and Byung-yu could be seen shaking, trying to hide his fear. At the same time, the S-rank hunters from Japan had arrived on Jeju Island first. Gudo Ruji took a look around and said it seemed like a ghost town, with the carcasses of ants scattered everywhere. He wondered if the ants were cannibalizing each other, or if there was a predator among them. Ruji then contacted the Japanese team, which had split into 4 groups around the mountain near the ant nest, and asked each team to respond. Once all the teams had checked in, Ruji gave the order, "Everyone, release it now." Instantly, massive magical energy waves exploded from the 4 corners of Jeju Island. Once inside the helicopter, Choi Jong-in saw that the Japanese team had already launched their attack. The magical energy waves they released caught the attention of thousands of ants, who began flying out of the nest. Some of the ants then started attacking the Korean team's helicopter. Choi Jong-in got ready to face them and asked the other hunters if he could take care of it. He quickly cast the fire spell Flame Spear, launching it directly at the ants and incinerating them in an instant. Byung-yu was impressed by the attack, but Jong-in knew it wasn't enough to take down all the ants. Jong-in then conjured a massive fireball in his hand and warned the others that the helicopter might shake a little. Without hesitation, he unleashed a huge burst of fire, incinerating the ants in front of him. He realized that these ants had evolved and had resistance comparable to A-rank dungeon monsters. So he jumped out of the helicopter, flames trailing from his legs, ready to test the ant's strength on his own. Ma Dongwook was concerned about Zhang Yin's safety, but Cha Hae-in reassured him, saying that Zhang Yin would only reach his full potential when facing a large number of enemies. Zhang Yin landed on the ground and was immediately charged by a swarm of giant ants. But Zhang Yin was cool as a cucumber, activating his fire magic and burning every ant that came near. He smiled, recalling how much fun he'd had with ants last time. He kept unleashing explosive blasts of fire, wiping out his enemies around him. Once the area was clear, he told his team it was safe to land. Before the Korean hunters jumped out of the helicopter, Ma Dongwook made sure everyone was ready for anything. He reminded them that this mission could end like the last one, where they might end up trapped inside the ant nest. He also noted that the Japanese team could only draw the ants' attention for about an hour, and within that time, they needed to kill the ant queen. After the warning, the Korean team jumped out of the helicopter and began their mission. Meanwhile, aboard the Japanese warship, Reiji Sugimoto monitored the situation closely. He instructed the ship's crew to start the attack by activating the electric jamming waves. Moments later, the electric jamming waves were transmitted from the satellite, covering the entire Jeju Island and disrupting the ants' communication signals, preventing them from receiving orders from their queen. At the same time, the Japanese team acting as bait continued to fend off the attacking ant monsters. Shimizu commented that if things kept going like this, they might wipe out the entire ant swarm before the Korean team even had a chance to kill the queen. Meanwhile, Team Delta sees the fire magic lighting up at the mountain's peak. Ipei recognized the magic as coming from Choi Jong-in. Kei was curious who would come out on top if his magic were to face off against that fire magic, and behind him, dozens of frozen ants stood stiff, showcasing the incredible power of his ice magic. The scene shifts to the Korean team standing at the base of the mountain's crater, the entrance to the main nest of the ant monsters. At the top of the crater, we see Zhang Yin's flame prison blocking the way for the B-rank ants, cutting off their reinforcements. The tunnel had many holes, including one leading to the queen ant nest. Zhang Yin immediately springs into action, creating dozens of fireballs and firing them into all the tunnels, making them bounce off the walls. Yunho asked Zhang Yin what he was doing. Zhang Yin explains that the nest is a complex maze of interconnected tunnels. The fireballs will guide them. The path to the queen's chamber will be protected by a barrier. It seemed that his assumptions were correct when Zhang Yin found the main access to the queen ant's room and signals the hunters to move in. The scene then switches to Jin-Woo, who is absorbed in his daily routine of completing quests from the system. His status window showed a steady increase in his power. Noticing the unusual silence, he guessed the Jeju Island raid had begun. Looking at things from a different angle, Jin-Woo figured that even without him, the Korean and Japanese S-rank hunters should be more than enough to take on the raid, if nothing out of the ordinary happened along the way. He was well aware that in the world of hunters, unexpected dangers were par for the course. The scene shifts back to the Korean team as they continue pushing deeper into the ant colony, cutting down any ants that block their path. Zhang Yin remarks that these ants are far too weak to be considered the queen's royal guard. Taegyu chimes in, pointing out that the ants in this area seem blind, likely bred specifically to guard this corridor. He's confident they should have no trouble taking them down. Byung-gyu, however, questions if this is really the path to the queen's chamber, noting that in some cases, ant queens abandon their colonies to ensure their species' survival. Yunho acknowledges the possibility but dismisses it, saying these are just ants, they wouldn't think that far ahead. They keep going until they get to a huge open space with thousands of unhatched ant eggs spread out. Zhang Yin gets ready to burn them all, but then Hunter Cha stops him. She points out one egg that's already hatched and much larger than the rest. Min Byung-gyu freaks out, wondering what could have come out of that egg. Yunho tries to calm him down. He reminds everyone that they just need to kill the queen. Everything else is secondary. Meanwhile, outside the ant nest, Shimizu was teasing Kenzo, who looked beaten and bruised. Kenzo grumbled, complaining about how the ants had ganged up on him, leaving his shoulder and hip injured. With a smirk, Shimizu taunted him, asking if he wanted healing, but only if he agreed to her terms. Kenzo cracked a small smile and told Shimizu to quit messing around as the next wave of ants began to swarm in. Suddenly, Shimizu's head was chopped off in the blink of an eye. Kenzo and Tatsumi were stunned, eyes wide with shock. Kenzo yelled at Tatsumi to stay sharp. The monster was targeting them. The monster charged again. Kenzo swung his fist, but the creature was too quick. In an instant, Kenzo's head was taken off. Tatsumi, still in shock, tried to fight back, but before he could react, the monster beheaded him just as quickly. In a matter of seconds, Team Charlie is utterly annihilated, left in a grisly, brutal state. The scene shifts to the Korean team, now facing the Queen's royal guards. Ma Dongwook raises his shield, blocking the ants' attacks and movements, then tells Hunter Cha to strike. Hunter Cha leaps into the air, plunging her sword right into the ant's head, slicing it cleanly in half. As more ants charge, Hunter Cha swiftly slashes, killing the monster instantly. From the back, Byung-yu takes down an ant and reminds Yunho that even though their heads are crushed, these ants can still last about 10 minutes. To fully kill them, their arms and legs need to be severed as well. Yunho guesses that these ants are first-generation royal guards, and he predicts that the next enemies they'll face will be second-generation royal guards. However, Byung-yu smiled and told the hunters not to worry, as he'd have their backs. He then opened his spellbook and cast a protection spell, and the magic enveloped them instantly. Byung-yu explains that this is a high-level buff. With it, even though they're up against a lot of enemies, they won't be hurt at all. Soon after, a swarm of ants charges at them, but the hunters aren't fazed. With the protective buff active, they feel even more confident, knowing one hunter can now take on 10 ants at once. The scene shifts outside the ant nest. Team Delta moves to check on Team Charlie, who has lost contact with them. Kei and Ippei arrive at the last known location of Team Charlie's communication. Seeing the signs of a battle, Ippei quickly concludes that they must have been up against several monster ants. As they move through the area, they find Tatsumi's glasses and the gruesome body of a fallen Team Charlie member. Ippei is stunned, struggling to process the horrific sight before him. Suddenly, Kei, whose sense of smell is extremely sharp, catches a foul stench so overwhelming that it makes him gag. The smell is unfamiliar and terrifying, leaving Kei wondering where it's coming from. In front of them, a terrifying surge of magical energy appears. The powerful magical energy materializes right in front of them. Panicking, Kei unleashes his ice magic brutally, creating an ice wall for protection. But the figure is too strong. Its claws easily shatter the ice wall, annihilating Team Delta in an instant. Meanwhile, inside the ant nest, the Korean team had already taken down many royal guard ants, but they only had about 30 minutes before the electric jamming waves died out. Hunter Cha smelled a pungent odor coming from a cave hallway ahead and suspected that the Ant Queen was there, surrounded by her royal guards. As they made their way down the corridor, they finally spotted the massive Ant Queen, hiding behind 8 royal guards. Ma Dongwook took the lead, planning to face the Queen and distract her, while Hunter Cha and the others dealt with the royal guards. The hunters agreed and got ready for action. Choi Jong-in launched the first attack, summoning a fire magic dragon. He explained that he usually holds back his power, but this time, he was going all out and using all his mana. But suddenly, one of the ants attacked from behind. Fortunately, Taegyu managed to protect him and killed the ant just in time. Yunho jumped into action next, transforming into a beast. His body grew larger, and the armor he wore shattered as he became a white tiger with sharp claws and heightened animal instincts. In no time, he shredded 2 ants with ease. Watching this, Hunter Cha stood there in awe, amazed by the power of Yunho's beast transformation skill. Ma Dongwook yelled, reminding Hunter Cha to act quickly. Hunter Cha stabbed her sword into the ground and activated her provoking quake skill. Magic energy surged from the sword, slowing the movement of the ants within its range. Seizing the opportunity, Ma Dongwook charged forward, drawing the Queen's attention. A bright light shone from his shield as he stood tall, facing the queen head-on. The news anchor in the broadcast booth instructed the cameraman to move closer and get a clearer shot, as the viewership had increased by about 80%. But suddenly, Min Byung-yu pulled him back, reminding him that the fight was getting too dangerous, and there were no guarantees of safety. He told the cameraman to stay behind him, as the situation was becoming more serious. The live stream of the raid was being watched by almost all of South Korea, including an excited grandmother who was watching with great enthusiasm. The news anchor reported on the raid. The hunters had wiped out half of the Royal Guard ants, and now only 3 Royal Guards remained. The raid seemed to be almost over. After the last 2 Royal Guards were defeated, they would just have to face the Ant Queen. The news anchor wrapped up, saying, "All of the powerful guards have been taken care of, and now all that's left is the Ant Queen." In the broadcast booth, the crew was pumped about the results. The TV viewership shot up to 85%, breaking their highest broadcast record. With this outcome, they were starting to think that South Korea could position itself alongside countries like the United States, Russia, China, and France when it comes to completing Gate Rank S. The scene shifts back to the raid, where the Korean hunters have surrounded the Ant Queen and are preparing to strike. From a distance, Taegyu launches a barrage of magic arrows that hit the Ant Queen's head, forcing her to stagger. Yunho, with his sharp claws, continues to tear at the Queen's legs. Enraged, the Ant Queen spits venomous liquid from her mouth, hitting both Yunho and Ma Dongwook, who are nearby. Byung-yu immediately activates healing magic, neutralizing the poison and restoring their condition instantly. Smiling, Byung-yu says, "If you want to defeat us, you should have aimed that attack at me." The Ant Queen turns her focus on Byung-yu. However, Ma Dongwoo quickly blocks her attack with his shield. Jong-in takes action, ordering the hunters to back off, and successfully sets the Ant Queen on fire. He then prepares for the final strike, unleashing a massive fire spell that engulfs the Ant Queen's body. Yunho, watching this, realizes the Ant Queen is nearly defeated, and victory is within reach. But suddenly, the Ant Queen screams, releasing a wave of energy that radiates from her body. The hunters took cover behind Ma Dongwoo, who protected them from the explosion. Yunho realizes the scream isn't a death cry, but a call for reinforcements. On the warship, Sugimoto panics and tells Ruji that all the ants are heading back to their nest. Ruji is shocked to realize the noise jamming isn't working. He stares at the sky, seeing thousands of ants flying back, wondering what is really happening. As the Ant Queen lets out a loud scream, Hunter Cha immediately moves, slashing the Queen's neck without hesitation, ending her life on the spot. Hunter Cha feels a sense of relief, thinking that their mission is finally complete. With this result, Taegyu questions whether they are now among the 7 nations capable of completing an S-rank gate. However, Yunho interrupts, saying that he senses something is off. In a panic, Ma Dongwook informs them that he has received news from the association that the entire ant army is now heading back to their nest, urging them to evacuate immediately. Panic begins to spread among the hunters as they wonder if their time is up and whether the Japanese hunters have failed in their mission. At the same time, Choi Jong-in realizes that his flame prison skill has been destroyed. As the tension rises, suddenly a terrifying aura fills the air, freezing the hunters in fear. From the darkness, a black ant monster emerges, walking towards them, exuding a menacing aura. This creature is the Ant King, a muscular humanoid ant with black steel-like armor, 2 sharp claws, and 4 translucent wings. Hunter Cha trembles violently, kneeling, unable to bear the intense stench and pressure from the creature. As the Ant King walks past the hunters, Ma Dongwook feels his body shiver, his bones as if being crushed by the monster's aura. The Ant King approaches the dead Ant Queen and pauses for a moment, as though holding back its rage. Suddenly, it releases a deadly energy so powerful that the hunters are forced to kneel, intimidated by its overwhelming power. Hunter Cha shakes uncontrollably, her body unable to stand upright. In the blink of an eye, the Ant King suddenly moves, appearing behind Cha. Before she can react, a powerful punch from the Ant King strikes her, throwing her violently into the wall, blood pouring from her mouth. Ma Dongwook shouts when he sees Haein badly injured. However, the Ant King has already moved and now stands directly before Dongwook. With a single strike, the Ant King shatters Dongwook's shield and left arm. Dongwook tries to fight back with his right arm, but the ant easily grabs it and crushes it. The power of the Ant King is terrifying, leaving Korea's top tank hunter powerless before it. Yunho charges from the side, but the Ant King counters with a flurry of slashes, taking him down in seconds. Jong-in casts fire magic, but the Ant King immediately moves towards him and defeats him in an instant. Taegyu keeps his distance, attacking the Ant King with his magic arrows, but the ant easily catches the arrows and crushes them without effort. In a flash, the Ant King darts towards him, knocking Taegyu back. Suddenly, the Ant King is struck, pushed back by a powerful attack. The strike comes from Dongwook. Confident, Dongwook says, "Even if you rip my arms off, as long as I have Hunter Byungyu, it won't be an issue." Meanwhile, Byungyu has activated his camouflage skill, hiding his presence completely. Although this skill requires him to remain still, it is the best skill for a hunter healer. Dongwook attacks the Ant King again, but the creature swiftly dodges. In an instant, the Ant King grabs Dongwook's leg, pulling him with incredible strength and slamming him to the ground repeatedly until he falls unconscious. Suddenly, the Ant King stares at Byungyu. Seeing the ant's gaze, Byungyu trembles in fear, wondering if the Ant King has detected him, despite his camouflage skill. Yunho warns Byungyu, but unexpectedly, the Ant King's sharp claws pierce Byungyu's body. Yunho is in shock, yelling Byungyu's name. In a dying state, Byungyu tells Yunho to run, and unexpectedly, the Ant King monster devours Byungyu's head alive. The hunters are stunned, unable to believe what they have just witnessed. Filled with rage, Yunho leaps to attack the Ant King. However, the Ant King effortlessly catches Yunho and strangles him until Yunho transforms back into his human form. From the body of the ant, Yunho hears Byungyu's voice telling him to flee. The Ant King possesses a terrifying ability. By consuming its prey, the monster steals their strength, including their memories and knowledge. The monster suddenly speaks, "Who is your king?" Yunho remains silent, unable to understand what king the ant is referring to. Meanwhile, the Korean hunters lie helpless and dying. Only the cameraman remains unharmed. Suddenly, the Ant King senses a strong presence outside the nest. It quickly flies out to search for the source of the newfound power. Yunho is fortunate to escape the Ant King's grasp. In his mind, he realizes that the monster is going out to hunt Guto Ruji. This opportunity must be seized. The Korean hunters must quickly leave the ant nest before the Ant King returns. However, the Korean hunters are not given a chance to relax, as hundreds of soldier ants have now returned to the nest, ready to devour them all. So, how will they escape this nightmare? Can they find a way out, or will the Ant King and his swarm claim them all?